Hi, my name is Ozzie Jurock. I'm the publisher of this fine, great, magnificent new book called Real Estate Action 2.0. I live, eat, breathe, and sleep real estate. I think through real estate we can really make a major change in our lives and grow into our own future best. And that's why I sort of put together 45 movers and shakers, people that really did something unusual, taught us something, and can bring some value to you as an individual. And so we have a young lady that took a single family house purchase in Phoenix and parlayed that into becoming the third largest land condo owner in Phoenix with some 4,000 units. We have a Georgia award-winning builder that has built some 12,000 properties throughout British Columbia, Alberta, and Phoenix. And in fact, he won Georgia awards in British Columbia for it as well. And we have some unique people that have a trade exchange, for instance, where you can trade real estate for other goods and services. But most importantly, today I have the privilege of talking to Brad Norman. And Brad Norman is in a field that is a very unique field, and that is the field of US tax liens, of foreclosures, and the exciting world of auctions. So Brad, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into that business.
Sure, thanks for having me, Ozzie. I've been involved in real estate for around 15 years now. And I started in commercial real estate by accident, really. I had a security installation company and I needed a warehouse for my business. So I bought that warehouse and realised I could divide it into two, and then became a landlord. I had one side of it for myself and the other side to rent out as a landlord. And then over a period of time of running my electrical contracting business, I started going to auctions and buying other bits of property, just for fun, really, as a hobby. I like the auction buzz of the auction and the high tempo heart rate of trying to win a property. And it was after about, I guess, 10 years of doing that, I sat down with my accountant once, and even though my security company was doing really well, lots of staff, I was doing 7 days a week, lots and lots of hours, and he said, "Brad, you're actually making more money at your property portfolio and you're not doing hardly any work. So why are you running this big business?" And it was kind of at that stage, kind of a bulb went off and went, yeah, I need to get out of this business and do what I enjoy and do what I like, which is buying properties, refurbishing them, flipping them, and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, it's so true. We have a real estate action group, and which you're a part too, a major important part. And people in there find that the real estate that they buy and put their business into that real estate, their warehouse or their office building, makes them more money than actually the business that's in it. So you got excited, though, about the buzz of tax liens and auctions and sales in the United States primarily.
Yeah, so when I was doing the auctions in England, I stumbled across US auctions and mainly government auctions, so not bank foreclosures, but US government auctions, which is tax deeds and tax liens. And also there's other as IRS and US Marshals, but I decided to stick with the tax deeds and liens. And what I liked about that was it wasn't down to the bank trying to get their mortgage money back, it was back down to the US government just trying to get their tax revenue back from an empty or an abandoned property. So I went to America, did some training and started attending auctions. The first couple of auctions I didn't buy nothing from, but then when I finally moved to Canada, where we live now, I started looking at auctions in Washington State, and I picked up my first property for $6,000 in back taxes, which was compared to London and Vancouver, was I couldn't believe it.
You know, for some of the listeners that watch the show, you're very familiar with sort of liens and deeds. And what is that, a tax deeds and a lien, and then how does it get to the auction process?
So the states are split up in two. So some states are tax liens and some states are tax deeds. So a tax deed is where the county will hold the debt for a period of like 3 to 4 years, depend on the county or the state will. And then what they would do, they will, after the 4-year period, they will foreclose on the property for taxes owed, and then they will sell it at a county auction. So that's how a tax deed is. A tax lien is slightly different, where the county will sell the kind of debt, the debt certificate, which is a tax lien on the property after the first year, and it's down to the investor to hold that debt for the period that they state. So it could be 1 year, 3 years.
So that could be the owner can repossess the property if he pays the investor off? Is that how it works?
Yeah. So basically what happens, the state will have a percentage that they would charge interest on, and every state's different. Some are 12, some are 15, Texas is 25%. So if the owner wants to redeem their property within that period that the law says, they have to pay what you bid at auction plus the percentage that the state the state will say.
So whatever the municipality has on properties that they owe money on, they bring it to some sort of an auction.
That's right.
Some of them, I understand, it's right at the courthouse steps.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, it's not. So when I was buying in England, it was normally put on by a big company, it was in a hotel, and it's very hard because they're trying to get the price up as high as they can. Where when it's done by the counties that I've seen in America, they're not interested. They're looking at the clock going, is it nearly 12 o'clock? We just want our tax revenue. And I've bought numbers of properties where I couldn't believe how cheap I was getting them for, just because of the taxes owed.
The interesting thing is also that you really have to know what you're doing, because you know some counties they want cash and others want a cashier's check, and
that's right,
or so much down or something like that. Right?
Yeah, that's right. So each county has its own rules, and you need to make sure them rules are followed in the way of if they take a business check, cashier's check, or cash. You need to know all that information before you go. One of the things I was talking about earlier is you need to make sure that your bank is in that state. So I went to a quick story here. I went to Indiana and I looked at around 350 properties over 4 days, and I had a whole list of properties I wanted to buy, and the auction was the next day. So I went, that's great. I'm now going to go to Bank of America and get my cashier's checks. So where's Bank of America? There's not one in Indiana. There's not one bank. And I said, this is Bank of America. So I had to mad dash and open another bank account and wire the money across. So yeah, lots of different rules.
Well, it's so different than Canada. In Canada, we have 5 banks with 1,000 branches, and in the States, we have 1,000 banks, almost literally, with one branch, right?
Yeah,
so, but that's the whole idea, actually, in the book, and that's what I like about your chapter. I mean, first of all, really a good-looking picture. I mean, does it really look like this? But he's got it explained in great details, because, look, what we want to do in life, we want to learn from our mistakes. But what we really should learn from is other people's mistakes. So what are some of the mistakes people make in the tax lien business?
I've seen lots of things happen. One of them, I'll talk about mine first, was a mistake I made on this beach bungalow I bought. Just kind of being a bit greedy, really. I bought the house for $6,000 in December, so cheap. It was assessed at around $100,000 fixed up. In January, I got offered $27,000 for it. So I would have made $20,000 cash without doing any work. But I stuck to my guns. I was like, no, I want more money. It's worth $100,000. This was me being an Uber, going after the most amount of money. So I spent 6 to 7 months dealing with different contractors and headaches and refurbishing it. And once it was done, it looked fantastic. And it did sell in 3 days. And it sold for $99,000. But guess how much I made? You can get kind of $20,000. So
sometimes the best thing is that first profit, and go on to different things, because that's what you're doing. You identify the opportunity to begin with, and that's where the work is.
Yes, right.
I mean, I happen to know that personally. You travel all over the place, and for every deal you get, you probably make, what, 5 offers?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
What are some of the other things people should watch out for?
Well, I've noticed a lot of people, when they go to the auctions, they do their research mainly from the internet. So the common mistake is they'll look at a list and they'll go on Google and they'll look at the house and go, oh, the house looks great. I was in a Washington state auction about 2 years ago, and I was amazed by these 2 people bidding this property up. They were going crazy. It was assessed to like $30,000, and it went to like $150,000, and I was like, are these guys nuts? So when I spoke to them afterwards, I said, oh, well done for buying the property. What's your plan with it? They said, oh, we're going to rent it out. It's a great property. I said, have you been there? They went, no. We looked at it on Google and it looks great. I said, there's nothing there. It's burnt down. It's just a piece of land. And then they started panicking. And they went to the front and the county said, no, that's it. You've bought it. That's the rules. You've got to pay it.
So but that is clearly. The thing also is that people, sometimes they come here from Canada or from other the UK, and assume that the legal system is the same. But isn't it in the United States, almost every state has different foreclosure laws?
That's right, every state has different rules, different laws, and you have to be wary of them when you buy from auction. I've bought, one of the other things that you need to know in the auctions is that when you buy a tax foreclosure, everything's wiped out in the tax sale, apart from other government liens, which could be like if it's a water bill or something like that, or the IRS also, they have liens that don't get wiped out. You have to wait 120 days to get them cleared. So there's all these different rules you need to learn.
You need to know, and particularly for a Canadian, you realize that our laws are always in favor of the debtor, right?
That's correct,
you owe $1 million on a property, and the judge will give you time after time. I've seen in the States, or you've told me that literally for a few $100s, they'll sell the property. I mean, we're aghast of that.
It's all about getting their tax revenue in. It's completely different to the Canada's quite similar to the UK regarding repossessions. Like it's the owner's got more kind of rights to. It's in the favour of the owner.
Right.
In the US, from what I've seen, it's more into they want their tax revenue. I mean, I've bought an apartment building in Indianapolis, and the opening bid was $32,000. And they went
on an apartment
building.
How many suites?
It was 8 two-bedroom units, and the assessment was like $750,000, and the auction was getting close to 12 o'clock, and you can tell the city workers are sitting there huffing and puffing.
They want
to go for lunch. We've got to get through this list, and it got to the point where he said lot, whatever it was, 700, and he said opening bid 32,000. Who made 32,000? Went that, and they went sold. Donk, and I went, what? To the guy next to me. We just go 32,000, but they were going through them so fast. They just want their tax revenue. Yeah.
Well, and also depends on the timing. I think the United States has sort of recovered from the terrible collapse in the late 2010 period. But I know that there were so many foreclosures that the person just didn't have any choice but to just take whatever was offered. But now you have to have more understanding and more knowledge, and I think that's why really everybody should be buying this book, because you have explained it in great details and in perfect language that everybody can understand. By the way, you know, we're a bestseller in Canada as a business book, but we're also a bestseller on Amazon, and you can get the book there. What we've also done with this book, it isn't just a hardcover, not a hardcover, but like sort of a paperback. We put it in an audiobook format. And the neat thing there is, you know, it's the future, right? Because every chapter, and particularly your chapter, is so interesting to listen to, because you can put it in your car, you can put it on a USB stick, you can download it. So if people go to either Amazon or to Audible, if you go to Audible right now, and this is going to be there certainly for this year, 2017, is that you can become a member on the Audible, just on trial, download it for free. You know, so, and then, of course, if you're honorable, you stay a member, and if you're not, slightly larcenous mind, you have a free book. But anyways, get that and take a look at it. And when you listen to myself, I have a strong accent. In fact, I was introduced recently as being the only Canadian that doesn't speak either one of the official languages. And I think you and I have a similar kind of thing. Well, the audiobook, you'll be happy to know, has not been read by either him or me. So you really have a perfect way to listen to that. But we want to learn, right? And we want to grow. And it's a little scary, this tax liens, isn't it? The sort of little dark man in the corner. It is actually a very normal business if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, and there's lots of money to be made in that business if you stick to that area and you learn the state and learn the county rules. Correct? Yeah.
What about losing money? Can you lose money in it as well?
Yeah, if you don't buy correctly, you can lose money. I mean, one of the things to watch out for is when you buy a piece of land is make sure the property you're buying is on that piece of land, and it's not half on that bit of land and half on the.
Right.
No, I made a mistake there recently, but luckily I managed to solve that problem. I bought this house and I sold it, but when I went to sell it, he said, "Oh, the garden isn't on the same land; it's on someone else's land." I was like, "Oh no." But I actually managed to track down the owner, and I bought that piece of land for $500 cash. But that was lucky. But I've heard of situations where people bought houses and half the house is on someone else's land, and that could cost expensive and legal costs and stuff. Yeah.
So do you zero in on a specific states? Are there states that have more foreclosures than others, or specific cities that you like, or you go anywhere where the business is?
Well, I don't go to places like Miami or LA or Seattle because the competition's too fierce. So I tend to stick to suburbs, so where people can commute to work. So maybe 40 minutes to an hour out of the city where people don't mind driving to work. So, you know, I like Indianapolis, and I like Arkansas, and I like Olympia, Washington State.
Don't tell them everything because we want them to read the...
Okay, don't give away too much.
The thing is, do you have a specific property type you like? I mean, you were talking about apartment buildings and houses, or does it matter?
I've tried most strategies now. I've bought warehouses, single family homes, apartment buildings. I'd say my main strategy now is apartment buildings. I'm looking personally to build a portfolio to get passive income or regular rental income, rather than doing flips. But the market has enough property there, so you could do any strategy. You can buy, I know people that buy land, fully improved lots of land, and they build houses and sell the houses. So, yeah.
So, I mean, you know, we've talked about where to go and how to go to watch out for the legal requirements in each state, and even each municipality has different kind of criteria. So a lot of studying to be done to get ready. Is there anything that you that you do that you have a crew that goes in to do refurbishing, or how do you get the local people to work on your property?
Yeah, so I've tried a few different things. I've tried Craigslist, so I wouldn't recommend that. But what I tend to do now
Sorry, did you recommend it or not?
I wouldn't recommend Craigslist, yeah. I've had my fingers burnt a few times on Craigslist. The best way to do is either use Angie's List or one of these trades where these people put their adverts on there and you get scores for how good their work is, or ask a realtor. If you're going to sell the property, speak to like 5 or 6 realtors, find the one that deals with investors, and normally they all have handymen and repairmen that do regular work for them who come recommended. I'd always go down the recommendation route than trying to just find someone on Craigslist.
It's important to have somebody there. It's even a legal requirement. Many Canadians think they can go down there and start working and refurbishing property. It's not legal, right?
Not legal, no.
We're still aliens as far as the U.S. is concerned. We're taking a job away from somebody else. So you have to have local people collect the rent check, be a property manager or do the refurbishing.
Yeah, I have trouble sometimes with the visa going across, especially with having a British passport still. But long as you can prove that you're going to an auction and you're having meetings and stuff like that, it's fine. But they don't want to have you working on site, picking up tools and stuff like that. You need to show that you're employing contractors and giving US jobs, basically.
I know that, you do a lot of traveling, right?
Yes, yeah.
So you must have some real passion for what it is that you do.
Yeah. Yeah, in one of your other books, Ozzie, you say, are you a flipper, are you a shark, are you an investor? Yeah. I would class myself as a shark, to be honest. Yeah. I like the buzz of driving around the properties, and I'm quite good at being a visionary and seeing what we could do with a building. Yeah. I bought a rundown office block in a small town outside of Little Rock, Arkansas, and I picked the office block up for nothing, $4,000, and it was just sitting there. No one bid on it. From my experience of doing business centres and on office buildings, I went and spoke to the county, and they ended up giving me grants. I said, I'm going to build this fantastic entrepreneur centre for small businesses to start up and get the town going with that sort of thing. And they paid for the windows, the roof. There's grants available, and now that business centre is full up and is doing fantastic. So I think for my skill set, I'm quite good at seeing opportunities like that where other people don't see and turn them into something great.
I think that is important to understand. I hope everybody listened, because there's another 4-letter word in here. It's called work, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of work.
You've got to go and do this stuff. It doesn't the money is in the sky for you to take down, but you've got to climb up, learn, understand, educate yourself, make offers, and be prepared to lose out a couple of times a year, So how about your family life? Do you have any if you're on the road a lot?
I have got a family now, yeah. I've got a new 10-month-old baby, so the travelling's calmed down a bit now to where it was before. But hopefully when he's a bit older, he'll be coming with me, yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to share with your viewers?
I would just say with the tax deed and the lien business, it's just mainly research. You need to drive the properties. I wouldn't use Google Street View. And you need to drive the properties and see the neighbourhoods as well. And you need to speak to the county and find out any other liens on the property. There's a lot of research involved in it. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme, but there is money to be made if you do your research, as I've shown and proven, really. Yeah,
and that's what you always amaze our members when you come back and say, I just bought this apartment building like for $10,000 a suite, or peanuts, or a farm, or whatever, and that makes it exciting. So for everybody out there that wants to do this, I hope you listen. Brad talks about work is involved. Yeah. But certainly for myself, you can change your life through investing in real estate for several reasons. You mentioned earlier the idea of being a flipper or a shark or an investor. I've had the privilege of writing a chapter in Donald Trump's book, Who's Now the President, me and the press. But the book was called Real Estate, the Best Advice I Ever Received, and he picked my chapter on exactly that point, that you understand yourself. What is your objective? Real estate allows you leverage. You can grow on it. You can keep it. It allows you to really create a future. But if you don't understand who you are, then you're always confused. Am I investing? Do I look for cash flow? Do I want to make a quick flip? Do I understand that? Or do I want to be a shark? And if you're a shark, go study, sit in court, find out how things work. And you, like nobody, has really explained on how to do it better in the United States. So I want to thank you for doing this for us. And I hope we're looking as good on video, but we can blame them. Now we can blame the photographers, right? So thanks for watching. It's been fun.
Thanks for having me, Ozzie. Thank you.